Who'd have thought putting more time and money into something made it better, hey? Ironic how this isn't totally my thing, but I feel like I'm the last to throw my hat in. Nearly every other channel has probably covered all of this already. But hey, let's put my spin on it. So I often wondered how the animation in the Mario movie would affect the game's animation going forward, and it turns out in a really good way. According to a developer interview, which I've linked in the description, they dedicated ample time and budget to create the characters in Super Mario Wonder with even more care, attention and detail than before. In fact, knowing that the Mario movie was in development, they knew a whole new batch of gamers would be drawn to the game, so they wanted them to not be disappointed with the quality. What's great is when the trailer dropped, loads of people were already talking about the animation, which is awesome to see. Hopefully these two channels have encouraged people to talk more about animation in video games in general. Oh, and this awesome dude who literally wrote the book on game animation. I've seen people online refer to Wonder's animation as being expressive, more expressive than previous 2D games. But what does that mean? Well, we'll get to that. I really like the animation in Mario Wonder, and I want to spend some time talking about it. So, let's jump right into... Don't say jump right into it. Can't you think of something a little more original or spicier or something? Okay, let's wonder about the animation. I don't... Fine. There's a lot to go through, so it could be a bit of a rambling mess like my Metroid Dread video was. Who knows? Also, if you want more animation in Mario games stuff, you can watch a video I made that does just that. Like any good game, the feel of the gameplay is important to player enjoyment, and you make a game feel good to play by having responsive and satisfying controls, which this game does. Anytime you press a button, your character will respond immediately, so no anticipation for jumps, things like that. Nice handy dust line to reinforce jump direction clarity though, which is nice. Movement forwards has retained that slight momentum from practically every previous 2D game. You will pick up pace the longer you hold your forwards button down, and this will increase significantly as you hold the run button. This gives your character a range of animation phases while running. The previous game had an array of animation phases during the run too, but they're nicer here. Now why is that? I think it's because the character models are all rendered with a nicer, more cartoonier and richer lighting in this game. I mean, Mario looks exactly like some old NES box art here. New Super Mario Bros. U is fairly bland in comparison. Actually, why do we all keep showing New Super Mario Bros. U as a comparison to previous animations? Surely Mario Maker 2's 3D World mode is a more recent comparison to make. Well anyway, let's quickly break down Mario's run here in Wonder. So, he has his standard jog, if you just move without running. You'll quickly build to that set speed, and it's that fairly typical motion with arms flailing to the side, but it's not quite as ugly as with the new Super series. Again, probably thanks to better colour rendering on those models, and a less erratic arc to the motion. One change which makes a massive difference is the fact characters are turned to be three-quarter facing at the camera, as opposed to the more side-facing pose of New Super Mario Bros. U and 3D World. This feels and looks more like an old-school 2D Mario game, if we compare sprites. Anyway, as you slow down, the arms bring up to the side like how they did in New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the 3DS. Now, when you hold the run button, you have a new animation for when you start to move, where your character leans forward slightly and will sometimes close their eyes as they exert more effort to move quicker. This is all reinforced with dust clouds. I mean, Mario and co live in such a filthy world, they literally kick up dust wherever they go. I mean, why aren't they coughing all the time? Anyway, as you pick up speed, your arm movement becomes quicker until you hit that top speed phase, where your arms stick out and you have these smeared dash lines that fall behind your character, and you have that lovely multiple spear on your feet as you run, signifying that fast, exaggerated action. I love this, it's so fun. You know what though, there isn't that much more going on than in previous games, in terms of phases. But everything feels tighter, smoother, slightly more exaggerated and expressive. We can see Mario's mouth, which definitely helps. His eyebrows react more to things too. Just this little bit here as he pushes into that sprint run does so much more than this older model animation. I think there are two main things which have had an impact on the expressiveness of the characters in Mario Wonder, and that's the amount of animations there are and the quality of those animations. Sounds obvious, right? It's simple things, like when you throw fireballs, you use alternating arms each time, rather than using the same arm and have its own animation interrupt itself when firing quickly, unlike in Mario Wonder when it makes this slightly less jarring. But But when you combine that with the fact that every time Mario jumps, his closest leg has to face forward and his furthest arm has to point up, you have to think cleverly about how to transition to those alternating fireball throws whilst having the action feel responsive and without it looking ugly. This also goes for blowing bubbles too. You can also throw fireballs and bubbles when ducked, and their hands are alternated. And you can also do this while jumping and walking while ducked. I mean, let's just look at this ice stage a minute. A previous game would have your main character slide along by simply continuing their horizontal movement without any animation. Like, they just stand there, right? Or if they're pushed along by something, again, there wouldn't be any need to show another action here, because why add additional work when you can make do with existing assets? But Mario Wonder has unique animations for just those specific actions. And what's more, being pushed along has one animation, but being pushed along while holding something has another animation on top of that. Okay, so let's talk about the game animation fundamental elegance, and how it's about to have a heart attack. Elegance is kind of where you consider your workload. Are the assets you have efficient enough for what you're doing? Can you reuse anything? Can you streamline some things so it makes it easier on other things? Is the system running everything optimized? Not many games would be able to have context-specific animations like these. They would have to save resource and reuse something else from another action, or just not have an action for being pushed along. I mean, there are a number of different animations for simply going into the air. You've got jumping, high jumping, bouncing off something, bumping off something, spin jumping, flutter jumping, super jumping, crouch jumping, slope jumping, and you can do other things while doing these things as well. You can hold a shell with your legs while gliding, for example. Let's compare shrinking when taking a hit to the 3D World one. I mean, there's no competition really. 3D World simply has the model scale down vertically and swap out to a new model. Wonder has a whole host of frames just for this shrink. You start as Big Mario, with the body shrinking down and not the head, then the head goes down and then the expression changes. I mean, the expression itself helps sell this action a whole lot more than before. And while this might continue for a few frames more than we're used to, it ultimately doesn't feel all that much longer during gameplay. You have a specific shrinking animation for when you're electrocuted. The electric's nice too, by the way. Like going into pipes, that's a bit of an obvious one. You've got 4 different expressive animations for each way of entry, unlike previous games where it was mostly just walking or the model moving through space. I mean, this isn't new. Mario 3 had a specific animation for going into pipes. Mario World had specific animations for completing stages. But yeah, we've got lots of things going on. So you've got the Wonder Seeds that sometimes cause a musical number to occur. These are very context-reliant animations. You're not going to see these singing piranha plants anywhere else other than the singing sections. They're timed exactly to the singing, the mouth shapes are very accurately depicted as to what's being said or sung. It helps that it's just musical noises rather than language, so to speak, so words don't need translating, so it's always going to look nice wherever you play it. I think every type of item and enemy will begin dancing. I mean, look at the coins! They're not spinning anymore, they're jumping on the spot. You've got the blob character you can become, which has some very wobbly and satisfying movement, and the way it bends around corners is clever and fun. Ugh, love it. You can be a number of other enemies as well during seed sections, which have specific animations for looking up and down and reacting to nearby items and enemies. You have this strike a pose animation for one of the last Bowser stages. That's not going to get used anywhere else. You have this pulling animation, which has a couple of phases depending on how far you're pulling, and whether you're jumping or on the ground, and whether you're pulling away or hopping back towards. Now, just going to point out this little bit here of Luigi letting go before having pulled the whole thing out. The way he twists and changes direction and gets ready to land is just very nice and smooth. Oh yeah, Fluidity is that game animation fundamental, which is how smoothly animations run together. You have various wall jump animations for how many you do in a row. You'll kick with one leg, then the twist as you jump, and then twist again like we did last summer. Very thoughtful. You have unique action poses for when you pick up special items, accompanied with a fun graphic of the power just behind. I mean, this is a really good opportunity to show types of animation that you don't normally get to show in video games, such as this really nice eased action at the beginning and end of the motion. It feels very smooth and bouncy. You usually wouldn't get a chance to show this because it would interrupt gameplay. I mean, technically it interrupts gameplay anyway, but it's just a nice opportunity to show something which normally wouldn't feel right if you were playing the game normally. Enemies react to you and each other. They have some sort of proximity measure which has them react differently depending on where they are, resulting in some lovely little animations. Some will give you the eyes, some will fear you. If they bump into you, they'll make an actual attacking pose. It makes everything feel alive. And obviously I don't like Yoshi's new mouthful pose, yuck. Characters will look to and punch bricks and blocks if something will pop out, but they won't if the block is empty. This action is very quick, and you may not notice it, but it just adds that little something extra. You can dive into water if you jump in with enough speed, and you lift your feet up if there's an enemy underneath. You have edge wobble animations like Sonic the Hedgehog, and 2 versions depending on what type of character you have. Right, let's look at the Cosmic Hippo stage for a second. Now, you aren't going to be floating around in space all that often. Let's look at how you keep yourself afloat. You push off in the direction that you're falling, and you're rotating around the whole time. They could have easily just reused the swimming animation or something, but no siree, we're going to make sure this animation is just for when you're rotating and flotating in space. Let's isolate this animation. You can see how the arms change which direction to push away in as you rotate around. Unbelievable. If we look at Super Mario Land 2 in the Moon Kingdom or whatever, just the jump pose would suffice. Obviously, I know this is basic hardware, but it's effective and succinct. So we're going to use this same animation for a similar situation in the Rainy Cloud stage, right? I mean, you're still floating and rotating and pushing yourself up. No, let's make that slightly different. Let's have the arms flap quicker and the legs kick in a more panicky fashion. But let's also not reuse this animation from floating or swimming when walking through slime. No, let's also create a new sort of animation for that too. I mean, they could have used the wading through sand animation for the slime, but they made a unique animation. I mean, even when standing still, your legs kind of point away. Can I just say something? I tricked you. There isn't a wading through sand animation. Your run animation actually plays at the same rate. You just don't move through the sand as quickly. Now, isn't that curious? Lazy buggers. I just want to say as well that it's really nice to see some depth to the whole game. Like having this foreground parallax as well just really make the stages feel deep. I mean, it's taken long enough for Mario games to do this. I've wanted the return of this ever since Yoshi's Island in this stage here. I could literally go on for another hour or so, but I do have a dog to take for a walk and a cup of tea to drink. Can we just look, though, at how Nintendo are really leaning in to doing really nice looking lower frame rate 2D effects animation for things like electric and splashes. Metroid Dread and Splatoon 3 kind of use this approach too. I really like it. What blows my mind is that it isn't even that there are more animations for lots of different actions, but these are all slightly different for each character too, and there's quite a few characters. I mean, sure, the animations for the rigs could just be copied across, but you still have to make sure that the model looks okay when those animations are reused because the models are different. Oh god, we haven't even talked about Bowser's last stage yet. I mean, these big punching hands could just simply lift up in anticipation and smack down. But no, they pull up and they twist as though nuzzling in and adding an extra layer of personality to that anticipation. And man, that last fight, it feels really good to watch. Having Bowser move in time with the music while performing attacks is really satisfying. I'm enjoying this new dedication to Bowser being really musical. I particularly like this offset head and hand movement. Just makes this even more interesting to watch. And of course, we have unique animations for cutscenes, like Luigi hiding behind a toad and Daisy helping out. It's really neat. Good job, Nintendo. So a conclusion of sorts. Elegance is a game animation fundamental that represents what you can do with your budget and resource. Nintendo is one of those rare producers who have vast resources and budget and are in control of the software and the hardware, and have always been dedicated to quality. It's easy to make fun of the new Super Mario Bros. Series in 2023 now that Wonder is out, but these games have always had a high polish, which I think was pushed with 3D World and Odyssey. Most developers, especially if you're a small or independent video game developer, won't have these same resources, so have to think cleverly about how they make animation systems efficient and nice. For instance, in Animal Crossing you have one basic animation for turning any object in the game, and because there are probably literally thousands of objects in this game, it's easier to create one animation that fits all than having a number of different animations for various objects. Mario Wonder has many unique and context-specific animations. If this was a 2D game using sprite sheets, this would be a much trickier process to keep track of and make look nice. And it's still a tricky process using 3D models, obviously, but there are small ways to make things easier. For instance, 3D models can utilise different body parts to react and animate by themselves, such as when a character comes in to squash an enemy from above, it's just the leg which extends out, most likely being triggered by some proximity reading by the model. And the head reacting to nearby objects is another easy win. That's not to say these things couldn't be done with sprite sheets, but it would certainly mean more thought on the logistics and production. Here's an interesting thought though to sign off with. Even with all of these wonderful, additional, unique animations, do you notice them? Is it worth having animations that might go unnoticed or even unseen? Does this add anything at all? Is the expansive animation library worth the resource to create? Personally, I think so, but what do you think? One thing to remember is that even though there are many unique animations, they never interfere with the feel of the gameplay. This still feels like a Mario game as we know and love it. Except now, it looks as good as it feels thanks to a vast array of additional, context-specific animations and an elegant system that has it all running smoothly. Catch you again soon. Love you, bye. Who's your favourite character in Mario Wonder?
All of them.
You've got to have one favourite, surely. There's loads. Oh, I know, your favourite's Luigi, isn't it?
It's Peach.
He said all of them, so it is Peach.
Yeah.
What about Daisy?
Yes, and Daisy. And Moana.
Moana's not a Mario character.
Yes, she is. My brain told me, but just she never pops up.
Oh, okay. Your brain told you, but she never pops up.
Yeah. Michael Rosen. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Weak people.